It was 5:30 a.m. A group of 6 drunk people were in a car driving to a cabin. The people's names were Ryan, Jackie, Ruby, Betty, Winston, and Lucy. They were all going to a big party. Winston was driving, but he was also very drunk and was driving fast. Winston made a very abrupt turn and the car flung upside down. 6:30 a.m. Everyone woke up and was relatively fine, except Winston. His shoulder was impaled by a branch. Besides that, the worst injury was a broken wrist. Ruby was hanging out upside down. Jackie walked up to her and pulled her down. Betty was calling the police, but she didn't know where they were. Ryan was calming Winston down so he wouldn't move. If he did, it would rip open his shoulder and there would be a lot more damage. Lucy was rocking back and forth on the ground, trying not to touch anything with her broken wrist. 7:37 a.m. A tow truck pulled up to the wreck and wanted to tow the car. But then the person saw Winston, who was still trapped. Luckily, the woman was trained in medical work, so she managed to get him off the branch. The tow person heard a low growl and kept turning around, but she couldn't tell where they were. It seemed to be jumping around. "Did any of you hear that?" the woman asked. "No, we didn't," the group of teenagers said. "Oh no, we are in a very dangerous place," the woman said. The teens went into the car, and the woman opened the door, but got dragged out at last second. No one saw what it was that was attacking her. She was dragged under the car, and Lucy closed the door. Everyone remained silent and didn't move to remain safe. 8:42 a.m. Winston saw it was light outside and wondered where he was for a second, and then he realized what happened. Everyone else woke up, but they were still tired. They only slept for 1 hour. Jackie offered to look under the car and patrol the road to see if she could find anything. "I won't let you," Ryan said. "That is kind of sexist. You know I can do it," Jackie said. Jackie jumped out of the car and checked under it. There was nothing. She checked around the road and found nothing. "Guys, it's safe," Jackie said. Everyone got out and stretched. They were all slightly stiff from the uncomfortable sleep. Betty pulled out her phone and called the police again. "Please help us. We called yesterday, and you haven't found us," Betty said. "Where is the nearest city?" the police officer said. "The tow truck says..." "No, it can't be possible," Betty said. "What does it say?" the police officer said. "It says it's from Toronto, but we're in British Columbia," Betty said. "Hey, lady, if this is a prank, please stop calling us," the police officer said as he hung up. Betty growled in rage and put her phone back in her bag. "We aren't getting help," Betty said. "Guys, where are you?" Betty said. Betty was deep in the woods and was completely alone. But she didn't walk away from the group or the road. So what was going on? Betty heard growling and started sprinting in the opposite direction. The group faced the fact that Betty was dead at this point. Lucy took something in her purse out. It was a can of pepper spray. "Lucy, what are you doing?" Ryan asked. "There is a monster behind Jackie," Lucy said. "There's nothing there," Winston said. Lucy walked behind Jackie and sprayed the monster that she saw. She then heard screaming. "Why the hell did you do that?" Ruby said. Ruby's eyes were red and watering. She was a mess. But I saw a monster," Lucy said. "Are you saying I'm a monster?" Ruby yelled. No, Ruby said. Ruby ran into the woods to calm down. After cooling off, she started walking back, but she couldn't find the road. She kept running and then heard growling. She screamed as she felt something breathing down her neck. 8:32 p.m. It was getting dark and the group was dwindling. "I'm going to look for them," Winston said. "No, you can't. You are injured," Ryan said. "And I will look for them," Jackie said. Why are you leaving the injured people alone? Lucy asked. Do you want to come into the woods? Ryan said. No, Lucy replied. I thought so. You and Winston go into the tow truck and lock the doors, and don't come out until we are right at the truck. Okay? Ryan said. Okay, Lucy and Winston replied. 9:23 p.m. Lucy and Winston were asleep when Jackie banged on the door. She was screaming in terror. Lucy woke up and opened the door, in time to see a monster attack Jackie and rip out her throat. Lucy shut the door and locked it. Winston woke up and started freaking out. Lucy calmed him down and told him that they needed to get out because there were sitting ducks in the truck. 3, 2, 1, Lucy said. They both jumped out and ran in opposite directions. Lucy ran into Betty, who was completely fine. After they ran for 10 minutes, they ran into Winston, who had a bite in his shoulder. He was bleeding out. It started raining, and that's when they all knew this would be the final fight. 9:34 p.m. Betty found a machete while she was lost. Lucy got her pepper spray, and Winston picked up a branch. The monster circled them and lunged at Winston. He impaled it on a branch, but the monster barely seemed affected. The monster bit into Winston and ripped him apart, and blood soaked the mud. Lucy sprayed the monster and it squealed in pain. She kept spraying until the bottle was empty. Betty stabbed the monster and it lunged at her, tearing her apart. Lucy grabbed the machete and cut off its head. Lucy walked onto the road and hitchhiked in a car. She was calming down, but the person opened his mouth wide and a sharp tendril impaled her head. 7:39 a.m. I walked into a room with the teens. They were all sleeping. I sounded an air horn, and they all woke up. They all looked confused. What happened? Ruby said. That was a test to see how you would survive in a horror movie, and you have all failed, I said. Excuse me? Lucy said. You heard me, I said. We are hungry. Can we get some food and water? Ryan said. Fine, I said. I handed them food and water and prepared another simulation after they ate. I truly hoped they would succeed. If they didn't, the people monitoring me would kill me. I wiped their memories and started the simulation again. It was 5:30 a.m. A group of 6 drunk people in a car were driving to a cabin.